everyone, to another fantastic, exciting episode of the Team Lead Talks podcast. I am your host, Andrew Becker, out of Alexandria, Virginia. On today's episode, I have my friend, Pete Russell, the founder of Velocity Advantage Capital. Welcome, Pete. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How's it going, Andrew?
Good, dude. We're just chatting beforehand. We have some family members down in Charlotte where you are, but I've been really looking forward to this episode ever since we connected. I don't even remember, like a few months back, right?
Yeah, I think it was like middle of November, right before all the holidays and everything.
Right. Well, I was glad to see you pop up this morning. So let's just jump right into it, man. Give us a high-level overview of, who you are and what you do.
Yeah. My background in the real estate space is in wholesaling. I started, it'll be 10 years ago this September, I think, is when I started. And I started just out of nowhere, not knowing what it was always kind of interested in real estate investing, but I thought you had to have a bunch of money or a rich family member or be a general contractor or whatever. So it was always kind of just like a side thought. And then I found out about wholesaling and I just kind of like took it and ran with it. Like everybody else, I failed forward, just figured things out, tried to get some knowledge from different groups and meetups. Back then, there weren't nearly as many coaches, gurus, that sort of thing. There's like Sean Terry on YouTube, right? And piece things together and have people to give you some crappy information, have people give you some good stuff. But I drove for dollars, put up bandit signs, knocked on doors, just trying to figure it out to see if it really worked out. I was like, I'm going to do this until I either run out of money or something kicks off, right? And then within about half a year, got a first deal done and then just kind of took it and ran from there. And then within about a year of doing it, quit my 9-to-5 job. I was like, I'm missing out. I'm using all my break time to like call these people back. And sometimes I'd call them back and they're like, no, we're working with someone else, right? So I was just like, yeah. I'm gonna take that leap. That's my background. I still do it. I built up a really big team at one point where we had an office space. There's about 10 of us, and we were doing deals in about 6 different markets across the U.S.
Okay.
And virtual stuff, and then stuff in my own backyard here in Charlotte. And then about 2 years ago, I stripped that all down. It was cool. It was fun. Made a bunch of money, but it was just a lot. For a while, I was just like, do I want to do this kind of thing long term where I'm the owner, CEO, putting out fires, dealing with egos, all that kind of stuff? Or do I want to focus on, I had just started doing some transactional funding then.
Okay. And for the people, didn't mean to cut you off, but for the people that don't know what transactional funding is, could you just explain a high level overview of what you mean by that?
Yeah, definitely. It is, instead of doing a regular assignment, where you get a deal under contract for, let's say, 100,000, and then you have a buyer for, let's say, 150, right? Like you have a good deal, good spread. Instead of assigning that over to that buyer, you are actually with transactional funding, you're going to do a double closing. You're going to buy it for $100,000 from your seller, and on the same day, turn around and sell it to that end buyer for the 150.
Okay.
When you do that,
yeah,
is to protect that spread, right? Like I've done over 600 transactions in the last 10 years while wholesaling, and I've had multiple issues with the seller seeing the assignment fee, or more cases than that, I've had the buyer see it when I assign it over to them and they want to see my original contract.
Yeah,
they start putting the pieces together and they're like, Pete's making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on this. I'm going to come back and ask for a retrade, right? Like all of a sudden they can't buy it for 150. They got to buy it for 140, 130, whatever. And it starts eating into your margin.
Right.
Transactional funding is I provide the money so that wholesaler can buy it for $100,000 and turn around and sell it to that end buyer so they can protect their profit. They don't have to worry about that deal blowing up on them. Now, in a lot of markets, they're coming down really hard on being able to do assignments in wholesaling. But one way to be able to go around that is to be able to double close and not, if you're like, I can't do assignments anymore, there's nothing saying that I can't do a double close, right?
So this transactional funding is like the day of you buy the property, you borrow the money for a very, very short amount of time, sell it, pay off the transactional funding amount, and then move on to your next deal. So it's not like a mortgage. It's like a day or two long mortgage. Is it referenced as a mortgage? Is it labeled as such?
It's not. No, it's more of private lending, private money. We're funding it for you and turning around and selling it. And the ones that we do are same day. Anything outside that to me turns into kind of like gap lending, where it does turn into like a mortgage type situation or putting yourself in a lien position. For us, our big thing is just like, hey, we're here to fund it, but we're the last piece of that closing, the last piece of the puzzle, where on the day of closing, if Andrew has a deal and he's like 100,000, I'm going to sell it for 150. Everybody signs. You and your seller sign. You and your in buyer sign. And then a big piece of it is your in buyer has to be fully committed. They have to put their money in escrow, right? That 150. When that happens, title or the closing attorney lets us know, and then we wire our funds over, and it's just like bam, bam, back to back. So the whole thing usually just takes a couple hours or less for everything to transpire, but it's same day.
Cool. And this is exactly what you do at Velocity Advantage Capital. You provide transactional funding for wholesalers, real estate agents. Like, who's your customer here?
It's wholesalers. So yeah, it's wholesalers, and then it's usually single family properties or like lots or land. Our average deal size right now we fund is about 220,000. That A to B contract. But we do smaller deals. I mean, we'll $5,000-$10,000 deals, and we do it nationwide. So we see an array of deals and stuff come our way. But it's those wholesalers that are saying, hey, I'm making a pretty good spread here. I want to protect it. Or now I'm in a market where they frown on, or they're outlawed, or we can't do assignments as easily. Like my title company will no longer let me do an assignment.
Yeah.
So they're like, I have to pivot. I have to figure something out. So they need transactional funding. So they come to us and we fund it for them.
Very cool. Yeah, that's happening more in more and more states as we speak, in ours especially. So we've had to do similar stuff like that. I wish I had known about transactional funding when I first started, by the way, because I have been burned by not double closing when we really should have, when we didn't even really know that was an option. So you're listening out there and you do want to protect that spread, like Pete said, reach out to Pete and figure out how to make a double close happen so that does not happen to you. Pete, how can you walk us through, like, you have this company that does provide transactional funding for me. I'm a wholesaler in, say, Florida, wherever I am, right? And I come to you and I say, hey, I have a $200,000 house that I want to double close on because the spread is 100K, and I'm going to make a pretty big assignment fee here. Walk us through like what that looks like for me as a first time customer of Velocity.
I'll preface it with this: like, it's an offering built by a wholesaler for other wholesalers. So the whole thought behind it is like, how can I make this as simple and straightforward as possible, and how can I make this a product that I myself would want to use on a regular basis? And just like what you said, like, I wish this would have been in place or available when I first started.
Yeah.
Because we found out the hard way with deals blowing up on us, and also selling to some of the larger like institutional buyers. They won't do an assignment if you're making over a certain amount. It's like $15,000. They're like, hey, I'm just going to let you know, like, we're not going to pay a fee over that. Even if you have an amazing deal, we're going to adjust our offer as soon as we see that assignment fee. So we had to pivot, and it put me in a place where I would go out in the market and look for this kind of transactional funding. And every time I found it, it was either unreliable, or they would charge a bunch of money, or whatever the case would be. I'm like, this is just a terrible process, right? So when I put it together, it's like, how can I make this super easy, super straightforward, and something that people are going to work with me on deal after deal after deal? So if you're a wholesaler in, like you said, like Florida in this scenario, and you're like, okay, I have a deal with a seller, I have my buyer locked up, like everything works out, but I don't want to do an assignment on this. All you have to do is go to our website, which is just our name, velocityadvantagecapital.com. You go to the site, and there's a big blue button there that says submit a deal, right? You click the button, and we're just going to ask you very general information like your name, business name, contact info. Next step is going to be asked for info on the deal, right? So just the address, the amount that you're going to need. Again, this is an estimated amount that you're going to need to close. Like if you have it under contract for $100,000, may change a little bit here or there. You may have to renegotiate. Certain things may need to happen. You're probably going to cover closing costs, but you don't have to put the exact amount. You just put the estimated amount in there, and then your estimated date of close. Again, being in the wholesaling space, I know 95% of these don't close like the day that you think it's going to, which is totally fine. Just general information. You fill that out. That goes through. And then you're going to have a little pop-up that's an initiation fee. And that is the one thing that we charge up front. It's just $250. So once you know that you have a deal, that's why we want you to have both contracts and everything lined up. Go to the website, submit it, pay the initiation fee. You'll be in contact with myself and my team, and we'll just introduce ourselves. And then from there, really the next step is you introduce us to who's ever handling that closing. So in Florida, I'm pretty sure it's an attorney state. I don't know if you can use attorney and title, but I'm pretty sure Florida's attorney state. So you just introduce us to the attorney that's handling the closing. And then really most of the back and forth and communication will happen moving forward between us in that closing company.
Okay.
So you as the wholesaler can go, like work on other stuff that you have to do and whatnot. You still have to be involved and handle your part of it, obviously. But we're there communicating with that closing company if they're like, hey, Pete, like the amount's changed. Okay, thanks. The closing date changed, that sort of thing. Like we're not bothering you as the wholesaler for all this information. We're just going directly to the source. And then on the day of closing, let's say 2 weeks from now it closes, everything lines up, it's good to go. We get our final amounts. It's $103,000 because you're covering closing costs. That's what you need cash to close. We'll fund that full amount. You don't have to bring like 10, 20% down or a certain portion of it. We'll fund that full amount. So on that day of closing, once everybody's signed, and again, your in buyer's funds are in escrow, we've got to make sure that they're fully committed. That's where we get confirmation from the closing company. And then we'll just wire whatever that amount is over so we can close the first one, or they close everything, obviously. They close it, record it, and then turn around and close that second one back.
Okay.
And
so
then,
I have a purchase contract with the homeowner. Then I think you said you have to have the assignment contract as well with the end buyer. And
correct.
then I go to your website and say, hey, Pete, I need funding for this. It turns out to be 103. It closes, and then they turn around and the attorney closes the second one. And then what happens after that? Like, how do you guys, like, what fees are there other than, I think you mentioned a $250 initiation, like file fee, but what am I getting charged for the 103? Can you walk us through that as well?
Yeah. Well, so once the deal closes, closing company handles everything, right? Our money goes to them, and then they close everything just like a normal closing. We're just funding that first deal. They're going to disperse funds when that second deal closes. Let's say again, your buyer bought it for 150. When that closes, they're going to turn around and disperse your funds as the wholesaler, your profit. They're going to send my money back to me along with my fee. Our fees are just, again, super straightforward, super simple. We do have a minimum. So any deal under $150,000 that we fund, we just do a simple flat fee of $2,000. So that $2,000, they would send back our $103,000 along with the $2,000. Now, the one thing is that initiation fee, that $250, will be subtracted out of the $2,000. It's not an additional fee. You can think of it as just like an upfront fee. So we take it serious. We know that it's something that we're going to put the time, energy, effort into, that sort of thing. So that $250 gets subtracted from the $2,000. So they would be sending us back $1,900 and, or would be $750, $1,750.
Yeah.
I say make it simple
and then mental math on that one.
Yeah, but they would send me. It's a $2,000 fee, but they subtract that initiation fee from it. So just to clarify, that's not an additional fee. So any deal under $150K is just a flat fee of $2,000. Most of the deals that we fund are in like the $200,000 range. That's kind of our average. But any deal between $150K and $500K, that's probably about 80% of what we fund. What we charge for that is just 1% of whatever we have to send over. So it's 1%, and then we have an admin fee of $500. So it's whatever it looks like, anything between 150 and 5K, you're looking at 1%, and then we have that admin fee. And that all gets sent back to us when everything closes. So again, that initiation fee is up front, but then it's subtracted from whatever the fee is going to be at closing.
Very cool. And do you go above 500K? Do you do like jumbo size numbers here, or is that your limit?
We do certain markets, obviously, or certain deal types. Again, most of the stuff we fund is single family, but we do have guys that double close large commercial deals or multifamily deals or big, like parcel deals that they're selling to developers. So we'll go above 500K. For that, because we're putting out more capital, we charge a little bit more. It's a point and a quarter. And then there's that admin fee too. So the largest one that we funded to date is 2.2 million. I think we funded last year, and it was a RV park in I think it was Alabama last springtime, and the guy was making a killing on it. And he's like, I do not want anybody to see this to blow it up.
Yeah.
So we double closed it for him. So if we go over 1 million, it's kind of like a case by case. We'll work with that wholesaler on it to try to make the deal work. But between 500K and 1 million, it's a point and a quarter. So 1.25.
Okay. So extremely straightforward. That's pretty awesome. I'm just curious because it just came out, and we both wholesaled in our past lives, and you work with wholesalers, and so do I. What do you think about this new, policy coming out that from, I guess, the White House about institutional investors not being able to purchase for, the iBuyers, call them, purchase homes in the United States? Do you think it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing?
I just wonder how much, if it's really going to roll out, right? Like how much of it is how much of it is a thing to say, which to get people happy and maybe excited about it. And then if it actually is sent through and actually turned into a law.
Yeah.
Because I see pushback coming back on that from some people that would probably be pretty close to the president in the White House. Like, hey, like some of those big institutional guys are probably like, wait a minute, pump the brakes. It'd be interesting because obviously they were a big piece between 2020 and 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
They scooped up a lot of houses, and they bought a lot of those off market, off of investors, or they started kind of coming around to that. So that will be very interesting to see what happens there, and if it does go through and what kind of impact. And then I think a lot of people's question is right away, everybody's like BlackRock, right? Like they're the ones that buy tens of thousands a year. But it's what's the threshold to be an institutional, right? Are they going to cap you at a certain amount every year? Are they just going to say no? What if you're a local guy, or if you have an LLC or an S Corp, whatever, and you buy 10, 15 houses a year, is that considered institutional? So it's
I never thought of it that way. Yeah, that's a good point.
There's so much gray to it, just like the 50-year mortgage, right? That was the thing a couple of months ago or whatever. And it's okay, is that actually going to get me traction?
Yeah, whatever happened with that? I actually forgot about that. It just kind of went away.
Yeah, I know that's the thing. So it's just I'll believe it when I see it.
Two very good points, Pete. I'll give you that.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting, but that is the big topic in the last 3 or 4 days. Everybody's posting what do you think about it? And those are I think the biggest takeaways is will it go into effect, and then who actually will that limit, and who will be allowed to do what? So.
Right. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Pete, for those listening that want to get in touch with you, who might be in the market for transactional funding, how does someone reach out? How does someone talk to you guys? I know we explained the processes here, and it's incredibly simple, but if they want to, get a few more questions answered, how does somebody reach you?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is I'm pretty active on socials. Instagram's my biggest one. My team and the 20-year-olds that run my social media are TikTok, but I'm I don't check the messaging there and stuff that much. They just post stuff for me. So I'd say hit me up on Instagram. Just put in my name and find me there. All my stuff is about double closing or traveling, so it'd be pretty easy to find me. Or honestly, man, people can hit me up directly. I'll even throw my number out there. If I don't answer, I'll get back to you pretty quickly, because I'm still very, very hands-on with it, right? Founder, I have a small team around me. We do a lot of volume, but I still take it very personal and want to make sure that people get taken care of and questions get answered. My number is 980-223-4777. Shoot me a text first, because a lot of times I'm on the phone and whatnot. If you leave me a voicemail, I'll get back to you. But just shoot me a text and be hey, I got questions, or hey, I got a deal coming up, or whatever it may be about it. I'll try to help you in any way, shape, or form. Just hit me up directly, or message me on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. And again, super active on there. I'll get back to you really quick.
Yeah, and for those listening that are looking for that information, we'll also provide it in the description of the episode. So it'll be right below us if you're watching this on YouTube. So reach out to Pete and work with someone who knows what they're doing. Pete, one last question for you. What is one like resource book, statement you can make to maybe help someone who's listening better their life, their team, their business, or their community out there?
Yeah, I've read a lot over the years, and I'll stay away from the obvious ones that everybody always says. I will say this: I'm a big Hermosi fan, like a lot of people are. But the stuff I love most about him is he's just like everything takes longer than you think, right? And then everything, even when you get into it and you're super pumped and excited, and you start making money at first, everything does get a little monotonous and boring after a while. But the people that stay in it, the people that grow, and the people that continue to do it and are successful are the people that realize that and are okay with that. And they don't have to be like, I'm 1,000% passionate about this every single day. It's waking me up out of bed. It's like it's got me pumped all the time. Like, no, like wholesaling and real estate has changed my life. The transactional funding and everything like that. We've funded 300 deals in the last 18 months. Like, it's taken off. It's fun. It's new. It's different. It's to have a service to provide. But still, there's a point all the time where it's like, hey, this is really tough, right? Or, hey, today is a Tuesday in January. It's holiday letdown. Like, it's gray outside. I don't really feel that great today. But you have to realize that that's part of it and be okay with it and continue to press on. And then everything is going to take way longer than you think it's going to. Again, I'm 10 years in, according to other gurus and coaches, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't even be talking to people anymore. I should be impossible to interact with. I should have all these courses. I should have all this stuff. But it's not there. But I'm fine with it because I'm in a place where if you would have told me 10 years ago, if you would have put all this time, energy, and effort into it, you'll have these things and these opportunities. I'd have been like, give me that all day long, right? It's the perspective of that. So I really like his stuff. And the main thing is I just feel like he's very realistic about like, it's going to take longer. It's going to be harder. People are going to doubt you. You got to be okay with looking like an idiot. Like, my social media stuff over the last year has finally gained traction. It took me forever and I still feel kind of awkward about it or whatever, but that's fine. Everybody does. Right. So,
Yeah. Well said, man. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you sharing the knowledge. Reach out to Pete if you need transactional funding. He'll take great care of you. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Later.